Hello, investors. This is Connor Bates, Associate Portfolio Manager with Revere Asset Management. Today's Tuesday, March 25th, 4:45 p.m. Eastern Time, coming to you with tonight's Revere Roundup Daily Market Insight video. Market state in a short-term uptrend. If we look trend gauge over here, market leaders neutral slash up. Today was a digestion day, and many of them held the gains from Friday and Monday. So that's a step in the right direction, seeing some positive feedback there. Short term, down to neutral to up. Seeing the indexes start to regain the 21. Want to see that hold in the coming days into the end of the week, but nevertheless, good level to trade against. Medium term, we still have that declining 50-day simple moving average, and not there yet. So we'll see how price reacts if it rallies back up there. And then long term, neutral to up as well for the 200-day moving average. The Qs closed about 20 basis points below. So right there with the S&P holding back above as well. So what happened today? Pretty much classified as a constructive digestion day. The S&P was trading in like a 26-point range, and the VIX is all the way back to 17. So, seeing that volatility dampen, and some of these tariff headlines aren't getting as big of a reaction, and just with the VIX down at 17, getting a lot more friendly market to hold overnight, and the intraday moves are much more tame. Final numbers: 21 over 21 list up 0.2%, 10 green, 11 red. Big 8 was up 1.43%. Definitely leading today. Tesla strong again today. Netflix breaking out a little flag pattern as well. So good to see these names start to come back. Should provide some more fuel for the indexes. RG8 lagging today, down 0.17%. 60/40 stock and bond up 0.06%, and then GROTECTION up 0.34%. Take a look at the tape, and we'll start with the interasset correlations. So, pretty solid day. That 21 day is holding along with the 200 day. It's starting to slope back up, back above the 8 as well. So pretty good action here. And, we talk about gaps. Unfilled gaps are bullish, to the upside, and they're bearish to the downside. So as long as we hold this gap, I think we can build higher. And then obviously we have this 50-day here that could provide some resistance, and it coincides kind of with this big level here, which is around 58, 65, 58, 80. So that's kind of the next spot to watch. And if we look at the weekly here, closed right at the 40-week moving average, still trading below the 10, 20, 30-week moving average. But, if we can get back through, this weekly chart will, look fine. But for now, still watching these lows is an important spot. RSP, building a range here right at the 200-day moving average. QQQ, strong day as well, led today on the heels of some of the Mag 7. I mentioned, Tesla, Netflix, Meta had held the 200-day, so helping there. And this is closed right at the 200-day moving average. So next levels of interest, right? Of course, this 500 psychological level, this is kind of a breakdown level, and then, all the way up into that 510, 515 level. Take a look at the weekly, still trading below the 10, 20, 30, 40 week, but starting to put in a nice reversal here so far. Mag 7 mentioned some of the strength in the Magnificent 7, and this one closed back above the 200-day and coming right into this 49.96 level. This is a big left side resistance back here, was this breakout here. So watch that level going into tomorrow. I think that'd be pretty positive if we can get back above, and definitely be an expectation breaker for the bears. Dow strong, holding above the 221 day. Mid caps, kind of in no man's land, but as long as they can build higher lows and continue higher, that will be positive for market breadth. Russell 2000, similar thing. Just small caps, just over the last couple of years, they've been a trade, not an investment. You can get that periods of outperformance in short bursts, and when they tend to go, they can deliver quite a lot of alpha in a short period of time. But it really is an index that you have to time, as it just tends to revert back down as the components of the index are pretty poor as well. So it doesn't have much fuel to sustain higher. But as long as this can build higher lows, that'd be a good sign. ARC, again, another one for risk on, risk off sentiment. This one's not breaking the Friday Monday low, sorry. And as long as those hold, I think that's a good step in the right direction. Got this declining 50-day up here as well to work with. FFTY leaders holding back above the 200-day, decent so far. VIX, this is really good. This is all the way down to 17 and huge drop from that 30. And this is when it was trending up here, volatility was super elevated. The ranges were huge. And now as this is back below 20, we're seeing just smoother intraday price action on the indexes along with individual names. Just makes much better swing position trading environment. Dollar, kind of bear flagging here below the 200-day. This continues lower, should benefit precious metals, gold, silver, and other commodities have been strong. Gold, again, a little bit of relative weakness with the bounce in tech, but obviously it was shown major relative strength back here. So this is consolidating up here by the at the highs. Nothing bearish about that chart. GDX gold miners very strong again, kind of breaking out of this little handle here, and this one, just continues to be a good spot to be in the market right now. Silver was up more this morning, was looking strong, came back in, but still kind of building this cup and handle base here. It looks pretty constructive. Bitcoin starting to rally back, good risk on, risk off proxy. Again, you'll see many of these charts have these like big kind of like shelves resistance that they broke down from earlier this year along declining 50-day. So that will be the next test for the bulls. Bonds just kind of hanging in here, not a whole lot to say. Consolidating. TLT, same thing. And then rates come back up into the 50-day as well. That's the intersector correlation. Take a look at the tail of the tape. Stochastics on the index is all hooking back up from oversold. Percent stocks by the 5-day medium. Got that super oversold reading last week, and now it's kind of back into neutral. So that's overbought in that 60, 70 area. Bull bear case, starting to shift to the bull case here. Just want to monitor over the next few days, continue to hold above the 21. Not a ton of economic data for the rest of the week. PCE inflation data on Friday. And then keys, the S&P green arrow there held above the 221-day. Qs held above the 21-day. And then, 20 basis points is closed below the 200-day. So right there, good action from leaders. Most held their gains, and we're not seeing much, if any, distribution coming to the market. But, just taking it day by day, that could always change. Day count up to 5 days above the 8, 2 days above the 21. And yeah, like I mentioned, the action today, it's a very tight 26-point range with a nice little pop into the close. Leading sectors wise, software was strong in hack. I'll cover hack as a cybersecurity ETF, cover some of those charts later in the charts of interest, but definitely probably one of the best looking tech group out there right now. Oil services, strong energy, and then XLY, and then weakness, biotech, utilities, real estate, regional banks, and home builders. I believe it was KBH had a pretty negative earnings report, and those ones, continue to struggle. See if they can start to turn around. GROTECTION today bought Bros and Doximity, 0.88 beta, 2.9% open heat. Bottom line, constructive digestion day with leaders holding gains, and we'll cover some of those in the charts of interest. So hack was strong today, and you can see this is starting to come back up here, kind of got a flat little range here in the 50-day, and we look some of the names. Okta, this just held up tremendously when the market was correcting, and you can see this is trying to take out these highs, really strong action there. And you got other names in the group furthering the conviction for this sector. RBRK gapped up on earnings, held gains, breaking out of this tight flag. You have Zscaler. This one has a very big base. This can break, starting to come back through. Watch that 217 level as well. But again, this chart looks very constructive. CrowdStrike coming back up strong off the 200-day and back above the 50-day. A little bit messy, but nice relative strength, and just strong off the lows. You have Fortinet This one reclaimed back through 100, kind of put an undercut and reclaim set up here. That's another good one. So, good action in some of the cyber securities. And then even some of the software names have been pretty strong as well. IGV undercut and reclaim at the 200-day. And you can look at Palantir. This one's leading the charge in the software sector as well. Alrighty, let's take a look at the 21 over 21 list. Netflix was leading today, up 2.6% on the day, breaking out of this little tight consolidation here, coming into that 1,000 level. So we'll see, but good to see for the indexes with some of these Mag 7 strength. Take two. This one held up very well during the market correction as well. This one's starting to come out of this, flat base here. Spotify, super strong V-shaped move off the lows, back above 600, leader here. MP, this is, in the commodities, continuing higher, another little tight consolidation, good strength in that area of the market. GDX, cover that, gold miners strong. RBRK, covered that one. SE, this one's getting super tight, got a downtrend line here. All these moving averages are quite coiled. And, this chart, one of the better looking charts, it has that moving average alignment. So this one could be on watch for a breakout tomorrow. TGTX, biotech was weak today, but this one hold up really well, just riding the 8 EMA higher and clearly one of the stronger stocks in the market. Dash coming into that 200 level, all these moving averages are pretty coiled here. Okta covered that one. ARC as well. Nutanix, another one that held up well. 75.80 is kind of that left side high, so you can blast through there. Palantir, Doximity's starting this one today. Again, seeing a lot of these moving averages tightly coiled, broke this down trend line as well. And, see if we can take out these highs. Robinhood, another one that, super strong off the lows, 35 to almost $50 in a couple of sessions, 20, 30% moves, super strong. So, got a little bit ahead of themselves, perhaps. So maybe they can, build a range, consolidate, build higher lows, build a little pivot here. But good to see these names coming back. Robinhood's got a great story. Bros, bought this one today as well, reclaiming back above all the moving averages. This one looks good. And, if you zoom out to the weeklies, sometimes the weeklies, this is just kind of the stage two continuation setup, first consolidation here. Lemonade, another one. This one's getting super tight. This has got kind of broke back through this downtrend line. Undercut reclaimed it today. And this one, this one's got quite a large ATR and a high short interest, but this can crack back above. This would look pretty good. If you look at some of the other insurance names like Root, EVER, other ones, it's been super strong. Yumc, another China one pulling back to the 21. BJ's consolidating at the highs. Uber, another one from this cup and handle base. This one looks good. Again, held up a lot better than the rest of the market in the pullback. And then WGS hanging out at the highs as well. Then one thing I wanted to cover is just some of these beaten down names are coming back quite hard, right? APP, this is like a 30% plus move off this low into the declining 50-day. You can look at a name like Carvana, right? Double-digit gain percent move into the declining, flattening 50-day. GEV, another one, held the 200-day, double-digit move into the 50-day. So I think, if I was talking to the market gods, right, I would say, if they can hold these gains, hold at least 50% of the move, kind of consolidate, build higher lows, build pivots, that would be best. You get lockout rallies as well. This very well could just continue higher or come back down. Your guess is as good as mine, but just some scenarios to think about. This declining 50-day could act as resistance, but as long as it holds 50% of this move off the 200-day, I think that would be a good sign. And this is kind of the three charts I just mentioned. This is kind of something that we're seeing in a lot of these charts that were quite oversold and saw some strong snapback rallies. BST is another one coming up off 200-day. So, just going to watch, let the market give clues. Some other sectors, right? Semiconductors, not the strongest, really needs back above this 208, coming back into this area. closed right at the 200 or the 21 day and pretty lackluster balances. MU looks like a short sale here, right? Rejected the, how many times is this rejected the 200-day moving average? Every gap sold. Avgo wasn't able to participate on the bounce, forming a bear flag here right at the 200-day, super tight. Nvidia just in a big range. That 50-day cross below the 200-day, and believe it or not, the semi names showing the most relative strength are really AMD getting back above the 50-day, and then Intel. These have been, some big laggards for a while. So we'll see. We'll see there what semiconductors want to do. But overall, decent action, pretty good action today. Just continue to watch this gap. This, want it to hold and continue higher, get back above the 200-day moving average, and then want to see see leaders hold up and not a lot of distribution come into the market. So I think that is going to wrap it. As always, like to hear from you. Emails connor@revereasset.com, and you can always reach out to Dan or Don at revereasset.com. You can find me on Twitter at Connor J Bates _. Phone is 855 Real Wealth, 855-732-5932. And if you're ever interested in becoming a client, as always, please reach out. And that is going to wrap it for Tuesday, March 25th. This is Connor Bates with Revere Asset Management, telling it like it is. Thanks for watching and have a great night.